The wreck of the Mohawk deer is the only one found inside the marine protected area of Portofino. It is visited by many divers. The dive profile can be defined as multi-level and doesn't represent any difficulty as long as the exploration is limited to the hull of the wreck. Its sinking was caused by a strong storm and tides during its way to the harbor of La Spezia. There it should have been scrapped. As for all diving points inside the zones A and B of the marine protected area, our dive begins at the anchor buoy. Leaving the anchor chain, we move ourselves in a westerly direction. During our approach, we can readily recognize the position of the hull, following the inclination of the seabed. At a certain distance, we can distinguish something tall and pointed from the blue of the sea. After getting closer, it appears very clear and sharp. It's the bow. Its position is unusual. The bow is slightly inclined to the right side, and a part of the keel area is directed to the surface. Between the rock and the metal parts, we see the right anchor, still united to the rest of the hull by its chain, going up until it disappears inside the hawse hole. On the upper deck, we can find the big and powerful capstan with its steel cables and new chain pieces. The levers and gears belonging to the capstan are covered with seaweed and sponges. We continue our adventure along the remaining part of the original 120-meter long hull. We remain in the middle of the hull. In the middle of the foreship area appears a geometrical construction. It's not so simple to identify. Maybe it's a part of the bridge, with lodgings and galley completely destroyed. Continuing our trip, we penetrate into a tunnel created by the collapse of the superstructure. We follow the tunnel until we've reached the exit. Here ends the entire part of the stern of the Mohawk deer. Our diving depth is approximately 40 meters. The violent force that beat the freighter against the boulders before it sank is apparent still today by the clear edge dividing the stern from the rest of the ship. Fortunately, Mother Nature embellished the final part of the hull with beautifully luxuriant branches of the red gorgonia, or the Paramoracea clavata. We can admire the red fairy basilids, or the Antheus anthias, making this area full of life. This point represents the end of the dive for recreational divers. However, scuba divers with technical diving certification can continue the dive. Many diving centers actually offer the option of extending this dive by visiting the boilers further down below the wreck at a depth of about 50 meters. Originally, they were lodged in the ship, but due to their size, they were hurled further away and today are hidden by a cloud of fairy basilisks, or the Anthias anthias. A friendly surprise awaits us during our ascent. On our way, we find a metallic piece on the right-hand side of the wreck with a branch of the Leptogorgia sarmentosa. It's an uncommon anthozoa which prefers a stony or hard seabed covering of sand or mud. And here we are. We've arrived at the bow, and before we start our ascent to the surface, we have a last look to admire the remaining pieces of the Mohawk deer.